So today we're very happy to welcome our esteemed orange guests. They're a group who travel around the world constantly, like 52 weeks a year, moving from place to place, simply singing Kirtan, whether it's on street corners or in yoga studios like this or in temples or wherever they go. These are people who live with mantra daily and even more daily than most of us. So I'll introduce them to you. With the harmonium is Harina, and on that side is Jagannath. Got his name right. And in the back there hiding a little bit is Nitai. And today they're also going to speak a little bit about their journey with mantra. Like, how do you do this non-stop kirtan? So let's hand over to them.
Mujnantimirandasya Gyanarashalakiya Chakshunvitamyena Tasmi Shri Gurave Namaha. So, sound vibration is very powerful, especially when it's amplified. Maybe put it down a bit, is that okay? Okay, thanks, yeah. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay, yeah, that's it. So my name is Harinam Ananda Das, which in Sanskrit means, Das means servant. Harinam means the holy name, and Ananda means bliss. So my whole life is dedicated to serving the bliss of the holy name. Trying to fulfill it. And yes, so my whole life is surrounded by sound, surround sound lifestyle. And yes, this is a fact for all of us actually. We are shaped by sound. The first sense that's developed when the baby is in the womb is the sense of hearing. And when one passes away, the last sense to leave is the sense of hearing. So sound is very important in our lives. We can see how powerful it is. You know, maybe you've been in a relationship and someone says, "I hate you." Just sound, what the hell? It hits you. Or someone says, "I love you." Just, you know. And yes, it hits you, you know. And we could say, well, it's just sound. Why are you so affected by it? Because we can understand there's a whole world behind sound. You know, even like you would answer the phone, you know, or you see someone on the AirPods, right? And you know, you hear a voice on the other side, and straight away, you know, maybe it was a heavy call or it was a funny call. Someone's watching you speak on the phone. What do they ask you usually? Oh, who was that? So it's not just like sound is just happening and then we don't connect it to somebody. You know, once we hear like a voice, it's like, if it's a big voice, then we think, okay, it's someone very big and huge with muscles. You know? So they're speaking like, hi, hi. You know, maybe someone very small and tiny. So even the sound can give us shape, some form, you know, and then we're thinking about, oh, what type of person that is just from their voice. You know? So we can see how a whole person, a personality can be derived from just the sound. You know, or say we just hear some like booming thunder, you know, and like you hear the rain, like heavy rain splatter down, and the wind blows. So in your mind's eye, you already picture like dark clouds in the sky, you know, things are rushing by, just from sound. So mantra is the greatest use of the science of sound. So even in ancient times, if you read like ancient Vedic texts from India, they would have great warfare by the power of mantra. They could just, by mantra, ignite fire just on its own like this. And in warfare, they would shoot arrows, but imbue them with mantras. So you could throw like, even as powerful as like a nuclear bomb, like that. So how would you counteract it? So you put a mantra in that was like a water weapon. So if someone throws like a fire-like weapon, you put a mantra in it, like a water weapon. Someone throws like a tornado weapon, then you make a mountain weapon like this. It's like a very subtle science, the power of sound. And then there's also like a study by, I think it was a Japanese scientist, maybe you've seen the documentary, that they had like water, analyzing the molecules in water. And they tested it with different types of music, say like heavy metal music, and they look at the molecules, a little splattered, or someone was like really hateful, I hate you, you're ugly, I don't like you, like this. And you'll see all the molecules all messed up. And then they had like water that was blessed by like a Buddhist monk. And then you saw the molecules all like beautiful formations and all harmonious like this. So what to speak of even physically, we're speaking like emotionally, mentally, but even physically, our body is 70% water. So imagine how sound is affecting us in that way. So mantra is even used for spiritual realization, to wake up our true spiritual consciousness. We are bombarded by materialistic sound, convincing us that we belong to this material world, convincing us that we're these bags of bones, skin and flesh and blood. This is who I am, with all its labels. I sometimes identify as Australian. I'm from Australia, down from Maryland. Not dressing around. I've got a kangaroo in the backyard. And Australian, and our sporting teams are better than your South African teams. So I identify, so you can see the South Africans got all offended, who told you you're South African, So, you were born in this land, then someone drew an imaginary line, and said like, okay, so your team is from, your body is born here, and then you should, be proud, this is who I am. But for how long? I'm sure many of you have some relatives or friends that left South Africa and they said, that's it, I've had enough. I don't care anymore. I'm going to Australia. Yeah.
Is that your South African accent?
I'm trying. And they sit in a ceremony and they say, congratulations. They say, do you accept the values of this country? And they're like, yes, okay, now you're Australian citizen. Like this. The South African God. But you're still the same person. Like this. So there's so many labels. Maybe your job, student. My first job was a rat catcher. I'm not that anymore. Who I am. But I still remain with the changing jobs. Some people identify with even, the social status, the color of the skin. But Michael Jackson said, don't matter if you're black or white. There's so many ideas for identifying with the self, but they're all temporary, And even this body, in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the main text for knowing about the science of the soul, there's a verse, Deyosmin yata dehe komanam yamanam jara tadata hantara prapti dhirastatya namuyiti. As the embodied soul continually passes from babyhood to youth to old age, at death, it goes into another body. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So, even your own body, you can see. You had a baby body, maybe like you invited some friends over to your house, and then your parents pull out these baby pictures. Oh, look at it, so cute. Well, where's that baby body now? It's gone, you know. And the scientists say every cell in the body is replaced every 7 years. So reincarnation is actually a fact. It's not a belief. You know, if you're like 21, you're in your third body, like that. And I'll give we'll do one more example. I need a volunteer to come up for me. Who wants to volunteer? Can I choose you? Yeah, come on. Okay. Okay, you can just stand in your face, everyone. All right. So all I want you, it'll take 2 seconds. Okay. All right. All right. Exactly. Okay. All I want you to do is to point to your head. Okay, very good. Point to your ear.
My ear.
Yeah. Point to your nose. Point to your shoulder. Point to your knee. Now, point to you. That's your chest. Point to you. That's like your body. Point to you.
Ah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Give a clap. So you can see, even in our language, you know, we like, you know, I say my glasses, I say my speaker, my harmonium, my microphone. These things are separate from me. You know, in the same way we say my hand, we don't say I hand. You know, we say
iPhone.
you might say iPhone. You're not your phone. So you can see that the owner and the possession is different. So who's the I that owns the body? All these things. Who's that? So that is the spirit soul. Like this. But because of materialistic sound from when we're born, even from within your mind, convincing you are this material body. There's no chance for peace, there's no chance for happiness. You're always in anxiety. Can you really be happy if you don't know who you are? Of course not. It's not possible. So we need to be woken up by some spiritual sound. So this is where the mantra comes in. I was so happy to find out that I'm not Australian or Indian. I read this book, maybe it's on the table, it's called Science of Self-Realization. And I like it because actually I was an atheist. And I didn't want anyone to give me a belief system. I was sick of this, you know. And I like this book because it gave you everything through logic and argument. And I always had this problem growing up in Australia that if I was to hang out with my Australian friends, I was too Indian. And then if I hang out with my Indian friends, I'm too Aussie. Yeah. Who am I? Then it said I'm a spirit soul, I got nothing to do with these designations. Oh my God, I can finally be myself. Like this. So then how do I do that? How do I always remind myself I'm a spiritual being? So this mantra is designed to wake up our original spiritual consciousness, who we really are. And it's not something from outside, it's just you're covered, and you're removing the covering, just like there's a mirror of all this dust on it. So the chanting is like removing all that dust, and then you finally see who you are, and your relationship with everything else and everyone else. This is very powerful. We saw how, you know, physically sound can change. So you may think, wow, still, these are just a bunch of like syllables put together, you know, like that. Nah, I don't. Someone made it up, and you know, somehow it's like a placebo. You know, you could say Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola like this, and you'd be fulfilled. You know, it's just But even we look at science, you know, you have like letters and numbers. Put them together, E equals mc squared, and you get nuclear power. So these syllables actually, when put together, invokes the presence of God in our lives. So the soul, who we are, is actually not temporary like the body. It dies, you know. You know, death rate has always been 100%. Doesn't matter which country you're in. You know, it's going to happen. So the body will always leave. It'll always like diminish. You'll run out of its time. But the soul lives on. You know, you've been to a funeral. You know, he's gone, she's gone. What's gone? It's the soul that's gone. You know, a little kid say, "What do you mean, Grandpa, Grandma's still there? Why are you saying gone?" So it's the soul that's eternal and moves on to the next body. And it's the soul that gives consciousness to the body. Actually, the body was always dead. It was never alive. It's just like a dress, outer dress. Or like a driver in the car. You know? The car is only useful and active as long as the driver, the living force, is in there. Same thing with this body. Unless the soul is in the body, then it's active. It grows, it develops, it does stuff. So its consciousness is coming from the soul. It's not a chemical combination that comes together now, this consciousness. Because if that was true, when someone dies, just inject a missing chemical, whatever it is. No one's been revived. You know, say someone died even 20 years ago, like Walt Disney. You know him, yes? Mickey Mouse. You know, he's like, yeah, I got millions, let me freeze myself. And then when they discover how to revive me, then they'll do it. Now he's like, the descendants, they're all freaking out, paying so much money for this cryogenic thing. They're like, wow, you know, all the money's disappearing, and our great-great-grandfather is like, you know, just frozen, you know, like in a popsicle. Like this, you know. So they never did it, and then because consciousness doesn't come from a chemical combination. Life comes from life. You know, it's a spiritual element. Unless the spiritual element is inside the body, then it becomes active, or in a tree, like that, or in an animal. It's consciousness. And my favorite part of the soul is that it's full of happiness. That's the reason why we do anything. We never do anything for unhappiness. Some do, but they characterize happiness out of it. They're still looking for happiness. You know, like, yeah, I won't get into the kind of miseries that people enjoy. But unfortunately, the body is actually full of misery. You know, it has to go through stages. You know, when it's born, the baby never comes out laughing and never does. No, it's crying. You know, and it's such a traumatic situation. The ancient scriptures actually give detailed description what happens to the baby in the womb, what it experiences, and it's really intense. Like its back is burnt like a bowl. It's in like airtight bag, and all like the juices from the stomach of the mother, they develop worms, and they bite the tender skin of the baby until it passes out unconscious. Yeah. And it also reveals that the baby within the womb is praying to God. You know, so much so it's praying to God, please deliver me out of this, and I'll be your devotee. I'll be your servant. Like this. So really detailed information, like time to time in its development in the womb. So yeah, birth has to take place. What to speak of disease, getting sick, or just the word dis-ease. Life is not easy. Am I right? Yes. And it comes in all ways, from natural disturbances, from other living people, you know, other people give you a hard time, mosquitoes, or even from just your own mind and body. You know, you just get stressed out for no reason. And eventually, unfortunately, you get old. You know, there's certain pains in the body, and you don't look as good as you used to. You know, no one wants to get old, but it happens, unfortunately. You know. And what to speak of death, everyone has to face, leaving the body. So this is what it means to identify with the body. You know, you have to face a temporary life that's unconscious and full of misery. But we want a life where we live forever, are fully conscious, and always having a good time.
Say that again.
Yeah. Living forever, always being conscious, and always having a good time.
It's a mantra.
So that can only happen when the soul is in its original position. We're kind of like a fish out of water. You know what I mean? The fish out of water, give it the latest iPhone, give it, a big house, give it the latest girlfriend, give it a Mercedes Benz, everything. It'll never be happy. Give it a beer even, It's not going to be happy unless it's back into the water. So similarly, the soul, it's in a temporary environment, it's in a material environment. It needs to be back into its original environment, which is the spiritual world. The power of this mantra invokes the spiritual world. The soul finally feels at home. This is what the power of this mantra does. So, I think I didn't talk much about my journey, but I want to start your journey with this mantra. Because the journey, what will happen is that not only will your dreams be fulfilled, you'll live a life beyond your dreams. Are you ready? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. So it's a wonderful journey, and we'll start some questions, I think, so we can have some more. Let's see the core of what you want to know. So, yes. Open for questions.
Don't be shy.
I just like to say it's the first time I've heard you speak, so I'm actually blown away. I just wanted to ask, I know for many years you were taken to the path of Bhakti Yoga. What caused it? You were saying that you were atheist, and what was the deep implication that made you change to start believing in God all of a sudden?
I still didn't believe in God after reading the book. But only when I started to experience God, from especially chanting this mantra, then I started to, not believe, actually, but I know God exists. That's kind of what happened. I read this philosophy, Krishna consciousness, very good. I like very much. This is my Indian coming. It was too much good. But usually you have a good philosophy, but the people who are representing it don't follow it. So then I started to suss out. I had to suss them out. Right? These Hare Krishnas, alright? Dancing in robes and got a funny haircut. Actually, what happened, now it's the latest haircut in Australia. They call it a skullet. They used to have a mullet. I don't know if you had it here. It's a mullet. Yeah. It's like a business in the front, party in the back. She's onto it. Yeah. So now they've got rid of the business and it's all a party now. So usually, so that you have a good philosophy, and then sometimes the people don't follow it. And so I went to the temple in Melbourne, and I saw they were very sincere. So what's cool about this philosophy is that it gives a process of how you can experience God in your life. Something like the chanting, taking the food that's been offered to God, hanging out with those who also engage in that practice. And my faith only built from experience, kind of thing. So and for me also, it's that I just feel like even though I've been doing it for like 18 years, I'm like a monk, and it looks like I'm fully a member, kind of thing. But for me, I feel like I'm just still doing the process. And if I find something better, I'll do that. So I like that the whole complete thing where it's like you have to experience this. to actually go deeper. There's no like, okay, now I just believe and I sign up and wear funny clothes now. No. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question. Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
Tango? Oh, similar. Are you telling the truth?
Yeah, I am.
Isaiah's pulling out.
I'm quite satisfied with everything. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's good.
Satisfied.
Okay. You can pull one out, I'm sure I can feel it. Otherwise we can just do what we're talking about.